Canada dropped 15 points. So the conclusion I come to, for me, the logical conclusion is just simply that Canadians are under a delusion. Neo, when he escapes the Matrix and he's finally seeing for himself,
I can't live a life where I know I'm fucking over everybody else.
I think the Canadian dream now is to leave Canada, because I don't necessarily see it getting better anytime soon unless tremendous things change.
For everything.
Yeah.
So I'm just building up connections and like community so that they can trust me, so that I can come in and fix their shit, because it's really bad here.
Nice. And whereabouts in Newfoundland?
There's a little town called Lewisport. It's the biggest marina in the North Atlantic.
Shit.
So
you went from Ontario to the Maritimes.
Yep. And we didn't have family here, nothing. We just hopped on a plane, bought a house, and never looked back.
Dude, I mean, I'm sure you got a better deal than you would have had in Ontario, that's for sure.
I had a house in Ontario. We sold for $500,000 and then moved here, and it only cost $300,000. And I say I have a $1 million view now because I'm out on the bay.
That's amazing.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Dude, I think this is, you're living the dream. That's exactly what I think most people would love to be able to do. It's just, it's a lot of people, they get lazy with the comfort. You know, they get comfortable. They're like, this is the place I've known all my life. My family's here. My friends are here. Yeah, okay, but you're getting crushed, and you know you're being crushed. You know you're not getting the best deal out there, and you're just kind of accepting it. So, I mean,
well, and working from the inside of the Ontario government, I can tell you why. I have written a few articles on that already.
Oh, I believe it, man.
Oh, it's bad.
I mean, for me, my biggest, I've always been a little skeptical of government. Anytime anyone's in power, I've seen it personally, power corrupts all. But my big kind of like coming of age moment was, because I used to run a tech company, right? I founded a tech startup at 23. I ran it for 10 years, raised millions of dollars, Canadian investors, American investors, had thousands of users. My company was dealing B2B. So, thousands of companies using our system. And one day I was meeting with the Quebec Minister of Transport, actually. So there you go. So it's similar to you. And actually, I wasn't meeting with him directly. I was meeting with his oh my God, chef de cabinet. What the fuck is it in English? It's the chief of staff. There you go. So I was meeting with his chief of staff. And after the meeting, he's like, yeah, I love the project. It'd be great to implement this with the Ministry of Transport. It just will never happen. I said, well, dude, if you're telling me this is good, why can't we make it happen? Let's do it. And he told me, he's like, how many employees work for the Department of Transport? I'm like, I have no idea. He's like, 5,800. I'm like, okay, that's a good chunk. And then he's like, how many of them are political position, AKA they're here because we've been elected? I have no idea. He's like, 11. He's like, try steering a ship with 11 people that are on board, and the rest couldn't care less. They're going to be there. They were there before you. They'll be there after you. And they have no incentive to get anything done. It's impossible. It's quite truthfully shameful. And I'm like, are you saying it's a little corrupted? He's like, look, I'm not saying anything, but assume what you want. So for me, that was like, okay, we're screwed.
Yeah, I experienced the exact same thing. I worked in the IT field there. My favorite part of it was learning people's jobs so that I could make them more efficient. And I was told constantly that you're not allowed to make them more efficient. So fun fact with the Ontario government, they do not know what businesses operate where, and if they're legally allowed to. How do you run a province with not knowing where any business is or if they're allowed to run? They have a team of 1,000 inspectors that have to go through the 40,000 businesses to go find out if they're doing bad things. And I'm like, can we build a master data record for these people? And they're like, we've been trying for 20 years.
Wow.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Don't worry about swearing.
Yeah, you're good with that. Just making sure.
Yeah.
Just making sure, because I can be a loose cannon here. But yeah, dude, it's wild. Meanwhile, one of our clients was actually an American tech company in Utah. It was called i5 Services, and they were building and traceability for all the manufacturing sector in the US. It was a system that for all the suppliers that would deal mostly in defense, because when it comes to defense, traceability is super important to the US government. You want to make sure it comes from trusted sources that are not connected at all with terrorist organizations or enemy organization like combatants or just foreign adversaries. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, it's doable. We can make a system that does this stuff, but again, plenty of people are going to lose their jobs, and we don't want that in Canada, right? We want to protect our public sector.
We could literally gut half of it and we wouldn't even notice a difference.
Yeah, and you see, that's the thing right now, right? So obviously we're in a recession, and there's been slowly a little bit of chatter about cutting back or rolling back a bit of the OAS, right? The old age security. And everyone's saying, well, it's the easiest line item to go through. It's the easiest thing to cut into. And I was like, bro, are you serious? I can think of
Literally just look at the consultants. Go right for the consultants. You could cut them out. The only problem is the consultants are the ones who do the fucking work.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. Well, to an extent, right? So during the Rona in Quebec, I made a video about this. In Quebec, the Quebec government had a 6-team or a crisis team, if you wish, of 6 consultants from McKinsey that were billing the government. Oh, man, I don't remember exactly the number. It was something ludicrous, like 150, maybe $200,000 a day.
Yep.
Just to propose policy for the Rona. And to be quite honest with you, the government pretty much just deputized them to make the decision, and they just ran with whatever McKinsey was saying. And to me, it's a double scandal. The first scandal was the cost, the taxpayer, because it's been millions upon millions over the length of 2-3 years. But the second scandal is, you're elected. You're supposed to be the one making the decision. Yeah, you're gonna say, yeah, but we made the decision to enable them to make the decision. Sure, I guess, by proxy. But I don't think that's what, Quebecois or Canadians, because it happens at the federal level as well. I don't think that's exactly what they had in mind when they thought of electing you.
No, it gets even worse. So I started out in the government as a co-op student. I really just was trying to showcase that I wanted to do better. I wanted to do things. I actually went from a project manager position where I was a co-op student into the programming side, because I just told my manager, hey, I want to be a programmer. I want to fix your shit. Literally, like, help me out. And he got me a job with Hitachi Consulting. They did nothing, literally did nothing but pay my paycheck. They were being paid $123 an hour while they were paying me 27, and they did nothing. Like, they literally just gave me a paycheck. On top of that, they wanted me to work behind the back of the government and go do like interviews with other companies to like promote me as a software engineer for other companies. And I'm like, so you want me to double work? And they're like, no, you're just a figurehead there. And I'm like, no, you want me to double work? And I'm like, I'm not doing this. I went in, I got lucky, and right before COVID happened, right before Ford came in, they did that hiring freeze, and I got lucky. I got a contract and then came in full time, but spent like 6 years just being like, okay, I'm fixing this. And then being like told specifically, we're not tracking metrics here. Okay. Why? Oh, because we don't want to put that onus on our employees. Why? Because we always do that. Why? Like, I'm trying to save you $1 here.
Which is wild, right? Because the public sector should have an even stricter, like you said, onus, a stricter requirement that every dollar is properly utilized. I mean, and in the private sector, look, there's investors. Sometimes it's like a privately held company, so it's the shareholders, the owners. Oftentimes, if it's in the public sector, okay, there's a fiduciary duty to the public market and whatnot. But still, the investors still chose to put their money there. So worst comes to worst, bad investment, company goes under. But we don't have a choice. I mean, like, our tax dollars are being taken from us at gunpoint, literally. If you don't pay your taxes, you'll get a fine, and if you don't pay the fine, then you'll get arrested, and if you evade arrest, then there'll be guns after you. It's
so bad. It's in everything. I just talked to a former realtor who's now a quantum hypnotherapist, but he used to work. He did 2 years with the RCMP, and he's like, it was corrupt as shit. Like, I just left because I'm like, I can't deal with this.
Oh yeah.
So it's not even just one sector; it's every single one of them.
But that's the one thing that blows my mind when it comes to Canadians. It's the fact that we really believe that, one, government works for us, and that two, things are running smoothly and like according to plan. The difference between Canada and, say, I don't know, a country like, Peru or Colombia, is that in Colombia, they know it's corrupted. They know there's corruption. It's out in the open. But here, the corruption is so hidden that people don't even know it's happening, which is more dangerous in my mind, much more dangerous.
That's one of the reasons I left, was because I knew I needed to speak out about this. And it actually goes into like kind of what I wanted to talk to you about, because you saw this before even I did. Like, I was working in the government, Ontario. I didn't realize how much misinformation was coming out during COVID, especially over the convoy. How did you get how did you get past the misinformation?
Dude, that's a good question. How did I get past the misinformation? Okay, so it's look, I don't think I'm smarter than anyone else, but
Yeah.
there's one thing that, at least for me, it's always been a very it's been my strong forte, my strong point in life, whether it was in business and my personal life and whatnot. It's pattern recognition. Okay, for me, it's
Mm,
pattern recognition. I don't know. You put me in front. Like it's funny because IQ tests are oftentimes based on a lot of pattern recognition. So like, score great on IQ tests. I don't think I'm smart, but I just like,
mm,
hey, it's pattern recognition. Makes sense to me. So it's you're looking at the narrative that is being pushed. And look, I'll take a step back. When look, so I'm plugged to the internet, right? And like I was
mm,
running a tech team at the time. So I mean, we were in the depth, like the normies would know where we were looking. Right? 4chan is normie stuff for us. Okay. So I knew about what was going on in Wuhan and whatnot way before they were talking about it in the media. And you know
mm.
what? I was kind of scared. I won't
Yeah.
lie. At first, I'm like, this is it. Like this shit's coming. I'm kind of worried. It didn't take long for me to realize, no, I'm not. So I'm not starting from a point of like skepticism of like, oh my God, everything's a lie all the time. No, like I was legitimately a little worried. But then I got to see the message that was being broadcasted by the media. I was looking at data and statistics. I was looking around the world as well. Like I travel a ton. I know people
Mm,
around the world. And at the time, I had plenty of friends in the US and various states, plenty of friends in Sweden, which is a country as well that during the Rona did nothing. Like, I mean, their
mm,
country was running normally. And then I started reconciling the data, the statistics coming out of these countries with that of Canada or various jurisdictions with very authoritarian rules and being like, okay, well, we're not really faring much better. And then after that, the best thing is you got to live it. You got to experience it. So
yeah.
during Rona, I fucked out of there. I left
Mm,
Canada. Freedom is just too important to me, and I don't mess around with it. I won't make excuses. It's you guys do your thing. You do you, boo boo. I'm out of here. So I went to go live in Florida. I got a visa. I was on an L1A. I went to go live in the U.S. for a couple of years, and for me, it was just like, hey. I'm at the gym posting like a picture on Instagram, and everyone back home is like, oh my God, you're at the gym. You're crazy. I'm like, well, people here are healthy. I remember going to Starbucks. I was talking to this elderly gentleman, and we just struck up a conversation. And he's like, "Oh, you're from Canada. You managed to escape into prison?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, it's bad." He's like, "I don't understand this whole thing. Like me, I went to go see my doctor. We talked about it, and you know what? We decided that due to my heart condition, it was better for me to, take the jab, and that's fine." But like, why the hell should we push people? And I was like, dude, there you go. Like, that's just a
mm,
free thinker, and that's just someone doing what's right for himself and not pushing his ideologies on others. So staying informed was not that hard because all I had to do was reconcile my personal experience and what I was looking at around myself, in
yeah.
freedom, and comparing it to the message that was being spread by the Canadian government, the provincial governments as well. I felt like the best analogy is, Neo when he escapes the Matrix and he's finally seeing for himself. And that was exactly it. It was just like, oh my God, like I'm living in a completely alternate reality and I'm trying to talk to people stuck in the Matrix and they will defend the Matrix because they're so deeply enshrined in it. They're corrupted by it. They'll never understand what I'm trying to say. So I mean, at one point you're like, well, you live your life, and eventually, yes, the convoys started, gathering steam. That was like the most proud of being a
Mm.
Canadian I've ever been. Like I was like, yeah, finally. And then we saw the government's reaction to it, and that just added even more fuel to my fire of kind of my disdain of authoritarianism and my belief that the Canadian government is not working for the rights and for the well-being of the people.
I was on the opposite side of that, but mainly because I had to use that highway. I was very pissed off, like most Ontarians, because it was like all Alberta came to Ontario just to stop us. But yeah, it was I was very much on the other side. I was in the matrix and I was fighting against it. Actually, I remember one time my coworker, we were talking about government, and I'm like, we should have more government. She looked at me, she's like, no, we shouldn't. There's no fucking way we should have more government. And meanwhile, we're both working in the government, and I didn't understand what she meant by that. Now I do. Now
So
I'm
what was
like,
your pivot or turning point?
actually, it didn't happen till recently when Carney came out. And well, actually, before Carney, I really didn't want Carney in because I saw Brexit. I knew he was behind a lot of that. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, hey, like, we're going to have Trump. And everybody's like, no, 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 Pierre's not getting in. I'm like, no, no, no. Mark is going to be Trump. And they're like, there's no way we can have a Trump. Like, the Liberal Party isn't Trump. And I'm like, here's how it happens. And lo and behold, it happened. And I also investigated the misinformation that came out because during C11 came in right in 2023, and I saw all of the media on Facebook being like Pierre Trump, like whole bunch of misinformation campaign. And I'm just like, okay, we're not allowed to have media being posted on Facebook. So why are all these news articles popping up about this on Facebook? So then I started looking and I'm like, okay. But I was a Redditor. I was part of that exodus of the leftists that were just, and I left, and yeah, it just became a slow part of reforming myself, relearning everything I needed to learn. And then when Carney got elected, this is what really pissed me off. Carney got elected, and then there was that whole ethics commission bullshit. And he's like, I did my due diligence, I followed the law, and I'm good. And I'm like, you're the leader of our country. You shouldn't be following a law that you know is morally wrong. I don't care if, like, you should be doing more. You should be immediately selling off all your assets. I don't care how much it's going to cost you. If you want to lead this country, sell everything. That's not fair to us. And then just from there, I've just been like, oh shit, rabbit hole, rabbit hole, rabbit hole. And so I've written 15 articles on the corruption on every province and territory, the federal government, and I also did an article on the NHS service in the UK, because every Western government has the same problem. Mm-hmm. Overspend, no accountability, no punishments after the fact, and everybody gets away with their dollars. And I'm just now being like, blowing the whistle. The Weird Canadian is more of a celebratory, hey, there's people doing different. We're going to have a better outcome. We have people waking up and building the new shit. You just have to wait, unfortunately, because everybody is still like on Windows and on Mac, and right. Bill C-22 is really going to change a lot of people's minds on that case.
Yeah, hopefully. But again, it's that, is it going to change people's mind if they're not informed about it? See, that's my big strife when it comes to this. Look, I mean, just yesterday or 2 days ago, it came out that the Liberals are at 50% approval rating. That's the highest since something like 1970 or whatever. And we're in the middle of a recession. Like, we're literally the worst economy in the OECD, and people are cheering for more. So most Canadians are deeply asleep. I'll push it even further. Just yesterday on YouTube, I released a video, and in there I was looking at the ranking that came out maybe 6 or 7 days ago. It's the best country to live in ranking. That was published by, I believe, U.S. News or something like that. And every year they publish.
I reposted it.
You reposted it. Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Go ahead, continue, because the audience doesn't know.
I saw it, right? What for me was fascinating was just, sure, the drop was crazy. We went from 4th place all the way down to 19th place. So that's a 15-point drop. And in there, they're crediting or saying that there was a change in methodology. So they look at 100 different benchmarks categorized under 8 labels, from governance all the way to like tourism and culture. And the economy obviously is in there. And their change in methodology was mostly that initially they were going after self-reported and, population sentiment on those various categories. And that's how they made the ranking, which obviously is quite faulty. This year, they decided to go after data, metrics, and statistics, actual, real, factual, meat to back their points. And then Canada, of course, we had that crazy drop. And at first, you look at it, you're like, okay, did any other country also see a massive drop? Well, most countries stayed within a few positions of their last year's position. I mean, Switzerland stayed number 1, for example. But Canada dropped 15 points. So the conclusion I come to, for me, the logical conclusion is just simply that Canadians are under a delusion.
If you're a podcaster or a video creator, this is the all-in-one AI video editor you've been looking for. I've been using Async since day one, and it's amazing to watch it progress into a complete powerhouse for creators. Especially for people like me who, well, can't edit for shit. Async leverages AI to give you total control over your video. You can record, edit, generate clips, add subtitles, and even dub your content in over 15 languages. Plus, it lets you upscale your footage and easily repurpose your content for different platforms, all without ever having to switch between different tools. It's truly a game changer. So if you want to streamline your workflow and make your editing process painless, check out async.com today. The link is in the description below.
because one year we think we're the fourth best country in the world. And then when we actually look at data and metrics, we're actually, we're not the worst country ever. We're not Afghanistan or Haiti, but I mean, we're definitely not in the top 5 or the top 10 or not even near the top 20. Well, we're almost going to be out of the top 20. So there's a massive discrepancy, a major delta between perception and reality. And that's the hallmark of a delusion. So Canadians are under this delusion. And how do you break it? How do you break that delusion? Well, you're doing great work with it. I'm doing my little part in this as well. There's plenty of amazing content creators and independents that are trying. But ultimately, the reality is, I mean, every time I'm out in the real world, every time I'm at the gym or out with some friends or family or whatever, I look around me and, people, the normies, right? They're just like, hey, going about their days. They literally think that the reason all their strife and struggles are happening is because of Trump in the US, because that's what they hear. And if they don't hear it from the media directly, because they couldn't care less, they hear it from their friends who hear it from the media. It's a vicious circle, really.
I've been, especially here, because I live with a lot of old people. There's a whole lot of old people, and I was happy that they stood up. Like, so Newfoundland's population is segregated into 3 spots: St. John's area, the central area, and then the west or the Western Peninsula. God, I'm still getting used to everything.
You're still getting around it.
Yeah, but everybody but St. John's went full on conservative because they're entrepreneurs, they're small business owners, they're people who actually understand the economy and are working towards just bettering their lives. They don't give a shit about what the government does. They just want it out of the way. But then everybody in the St. John's area is university students, immigrants, liberals that just moved there because they were so pissed off that their neighbor is conservative that they wanted to be more with their people. And I'm now getting to the point where I'm like, okay, we need to start migrating out of these big cities. We need to start going to small towns, because you're going to actually have a better life. Like I'm a testament to that. Have a better life being in a smaller town, because first off, it's cheaper. Everybody's leaving. So housing prices are a lot less. Unfortunately, I live on an island, so food's more expensive here, but
it's time for you to start fishing, man. It's time for you to start fishing.
I'm doing that on Saturday, actually. I just got the ATV up and running. I'm so excited to get out to the fishing hole. And I didn't get my moose license this year, which back here, I got my gun. That was the first thing I did when I moved out here, was get my PAL.
That's it, right, man? One of us. Hey, you're far away from the Reddit days, aren't you?
Very much so. But it's weird, because when I was a kid, I grew up in the country. I grew up in like dirt biking, fishing, going out in the forest. My parents own 4 acres in the middle of the Ganaraska Forest in Ontario. And I grew up outdoors. And then I went to school and got indoctrinated into
that's the issue for sure. You raised a point, by the way, I want to touch on, because I think it's very interesting. You mentioned we need more entrepreneurs, because when you're an entrepreneur, I mean, the reality is you want the government out of your pocket. You want, regulations out of the way. And also, most importantly, you exhibit a virtue of self-reliance, of problem solving, and of I'm the master of my own universe, right? It's you're not looking for handouts. You're looking to make it happen. I could not agree with you more on that. Entrepreneurs, it's very hard to be on the left, or at least solidly on the left, when you're an entrepreneur. Okay, it's just most entrepreneurs are right of center, whether they're really to the right or just a little right, but they're still centered to the right. Until you reach a certain level, once you become a multi-zillionaire or a billionaire, then you tend to go far left. And and the reason behind it is very simple. And I heard this from someone once upon a time. I won't disclose who, but I mean, it makes complete sense. He's an incredibly wealthy individual. And he looked at me and I asked him, like, why are you so freaking for the liberals all the time? It makes no sense to me. And he said, dude, politically speaking, my vote is exactly the same as some fucking school teacher, as some freaking nanny, as some hobo on the streets. Do you really think that's what I want? No, I want to have more control and more power, because I'm smarter, I'm better, I'm richer, I'm more influential. So democracy is it's not the way to go. It's equality. It's not what we're after. And I was like, oh shit. I mean, he's kind of right. The liberals tend to always be about insiders, about, the elites. They're called the Laurentian elites for a reason. And oddly enough, they have a stronghold on a message always being said, it's the conservatives that are pro-business. Yeah, well, that's a good thing. An SME, yes, you want to be an SME pro-business kind of party because that's the heart, that's the blood of an economy. But the liberals are the party and the supporters of the elites, of the, call it the billionaire class, call it the oligopoly. And I mean, even in the US, it's very similar. I mean, most incredibly wealthy individuals are Democrats in the US. The only outlier, really, to me, is Elon Musk. And even that, he was a Democrat for the longest time until they just went cuckoo crazy. And he's like, look, listen, I mean, there's so much I can tolerate, right? And then he lost his son, as he calls it, Xavier, I believe. He became, he transitioned and everything. And for him, he called it the woke mind virus. And it really hurt him. And I think that was a reckoning for him. But yeah, no, we need more entrepreneur, and this is what's insidious, that Canada is seeing a flight of entrepreneurs. Anyone who has a little bit of success ends up leaving, and rightfully so. I mean, you'd be crazy.
We're being demonized,
or being demonized, yeah. But I mean, at the same time, Canada is just a horrible jurisdiction to run any company. And on top of that, we have less new entrepreneurs. We have some of the lowest rates of entrepreneurship ever in this country. We're far behind the US. So it's, in a way, kind of cementing the liberal mentality, because as our economy falters, people become more and more dependent and reliant on the government. Well, they tend to be more and more to the left because of that and ask for more. And then you become dependent. It's like the animals in nature that we're told never feed the animal. They're wild animal. They're going to become dependent on your handouts. Well, what the fuck do you think we are? We're animals as well, dude.
It's funny that you mentioned that, but that's the exact reason I got blocked by UBI Works, was because I wrote an in-depth article on why UBI does not work. And I'm like, it's just a handout. And I wrote a follow-up article on the better structure. So UBO, universal basic ownership, where you become an owner of the business that you're working for, and then using NIT to help what's happening right now to claw back some of our tax dollars for the people who need it the most. So like, it's not like I'm not for social help. I'm not for free handouts anymore. I don't, it's stopping us from actually developing. And I ran across a 22-year-old. His name is Eric. He got his account suspended, so I'm just going to talk about him. But he's a Hitler sympathizer who wants to sit at home all day, play video games, and do nothing. And he's advocating for UBI. And I'm like, so you're advocating for UBI so you could sit at home, play video games, and do nothing and not contribute to society? He's like, yep. And I'm like, do you not see the hypocrisy in that?
He wants other people to work on his behalf. It's, oh man. But again, it's like the condition to be this way. And you're definitely right. UBI doesn't work because, look, we can even use maybe this example. In older age, and I think it's been proven through statistics as well, that people that are staying active, the elderly who stay active, who keep a part-time job or have plenty of activities going on, they tend to live longer. And the ones who just let themselves go, they wither away, they just sit on a couch, they end up, premature dying. And it's because I think the human mind, the human body, just the human experience, we require purpose. We need purpose. And it's actually purpose that drives people to have a sense of fulfillment, more so than happiness. When you hear, I just want to be happy. Happiness is fleeting. It's an emotion. It comes and goes. But when you have purpose, when you're on a mission, whether it's I want to take care of my family, I want to spend time with my grandkids if you're an elderly, I want to build something, I want to help the community, whatever it is. I mean, there's so many things you can do in life that you can drive purpose from. But that keeps you going. It gives you a reason to get up in the morning. But UBI, that takes away that entire reason. Now all of a sudden you turn to hedonism, like that guy Eric. All you do is play video games. That's very hedonistic. You eat free food, and you for lack of a better word, you rub one out and you go back to sleep and you do it all over again the next day. I mean, is that really? And to Eric, I would say, look at your ancestors. You're alive today because you're part of a lineage of winners. Okay. No matter what you say, no matter who, even if your ancestors were peasants, they won, they reproduced, they survived, they overcame strife, famine, diseases, wars, tyranny, you name it, so that you're here today. Do you really want to be the weakest link? Is that it? Is that the end of an unbroken, hundreds of thousands of year long lineage? And that's you? That's it? It's over now? Come on, guy, dude. Like it's.
I also like give it to the DEI stuff, because now I'm seeing the anti-white. It's not even DEI anymore. It's just anti-white. And it's really defeating, especially if like I'm snipped. I am not going to have kids. That choice was made like well before, like I was 12 when I made that choice. But
You were 12 when you got
no, not snapped,
okay,
but 12 when I knew I was never gonna have children.
okay.
But then like through my progression, it became like, oh, I'm doing this, because of climate change, or because the world sucks, or because like, and then it kind of just solidified that I want to help people. And I know if I have a child, I'm not going to be able to do that. I want to focus more on fixing our fucking issues than dealing with my own.
Fair enough.
I know, but I mean, me running away, but
that's still purpose, man. That's purpose. You have a purpose in life. We all have a role to play in the greater good of the world.
Yeah.
And maybe this is a very personal thing, but I'd be curious to hear it, because I think you're the only person I've ever spoken to that has gotten a vasectomy, I suppose, here. And I'd love to hear, because to me it's fascinating and I love to learn. I'm at the completely opposite. I want to have like fucking 500,000 kids if possible, you know, like Genghis Khan my ass, you know, let's do it.
Yep.
So what's your reasoning behind it?
Well, I have ADHD and autism. Well, not diagnosed autism, but I'm actually going through that right now. But it was just a matter of like, when I was young, I knew I was different. I was always ostracized. I was beaten to a pulp. I've been hospitalized for bullying. I had an actual swirly. People are like, what's a swirly? And I'm like, how do you not know what that is? But I've actually had my head flushed in the toilet.
That's what it is. Okay, I had no idea what a swirly was. That's what it is. Okay.
Most people think it's just something you saw on TV. No, I had one of those. So like, I never really fit in. That's why I call myself the weird Canadian. I'm taking that back. The weird. I love being weird. I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I've come to that conclusion.
Dude. Amen.
But for the longest time, I just didn't feel the same. And then it came into climate change and stuff like that. Now I'm finding out that I was afraid of women for a long time too. So that was kind of one of my issues. Like that's the other thing. Like, young men are definitely afraid of women.
Oh yeah.
And that was kind of solidified a lot. And my partner now, she's an ICU nurse, is like, you're a fucking idiot. I'm like, yeah, I know. And she's like, I'm teaching a lot of the things I learned growing up. So
awesome. First of all, I'm glad to hear, because you know, that's like a story arc that I've heard so many times. You know, sometimes it just takes one good girl in someone's life to really like open up their horizon, their eyes, you know. But and I'm just putting out, I'm not an expert on it, but I've heard it can be reversed. You can get restitched if you wish.
No, it's definitely more. I think at this point I don't want any, and she definitely doesn't either. So we're just kind of gonna enjoy our life, and we want to be dinks. We're good with that.
I was gonna say dinks. There you go.
But yeah, it was just very much of a like, okay, yeah. Now we understand. We want to travel. We want to do things. We don't really want to be tied down. And even our animals now, like we have. One of the reasons I started this was we lost a dog, and I was devastated for the first time in my life, and that like really made me think about everything. And then she gave me the permission to quit my job and start this and kind of be an entrepreneur. The permission was a gift. But even now, our animals are kind of like holding us back. So we want to do more things, but we're like, who do we take care? Who takes care of them? How are we going to do these things? So we kind of want to travel and see more of the world. Like I own with my parents a nonprofit out of Cuba. We started up in COVID just to help out with like the shit that they had going on down there. And now we just continued it because their government is just like, holy crap, I can't wait for the US to take over. And yes, to anybody out there, the US needs to take Cuba over. Their people want it, and their people are great. They are an amazingly beautiful people. They love everybody, and they do not take for granted what we all do. So we're continuing to help them out there. We're going to continue that for as far as we can take it. We're actually losing a lot of money on that, but we're okay with that because it's like our second home. But in terms of like, I want to see Sweden because I know it's not a socialist country. It's a capitalist country that was socialist at one point. Now everybody's like, they did it. And it's like, no, they didn't.
Sweden's an interesting country. Again, I spent a lot of time in Sweden. At one point I was going to move there and even marry someone there, but that's a story for another time. But so I spent a lot of time, and I've seen their major cities. I've been to Stockholm, I've been to Gothenburg, I spent some time in Jönköping, Malmö, Lund. But anyways, so it's a country that's a sad representation of everything that's wrong now with the West. It went from a great place, a bit like Canada. Honestly, it's like it follows in Canada's footsteps, or vice versa. For me, the really shocking kind of declick, the little something that just again clicked in my head was one day I was in Stockholm. Actually, my first time ever in Stockholm, and I'm walking the streets, and people over there, first of all, they all look the same. They're all blonde, blue eyes, and it's not like it's literally that. Okay, it's not. I'm not making this up. You go there, it is 99.99999% just blonde, blue eyes, and they're super polite, super respectful, very orderly society, very quiet, very kind of like docile. They're all walking perfectly, not making a fuss. And then all you hear is some guy on a phone yelling, and you can imagine the kind of person. It's like there's a huge dichotomy, a huge contrast there. Or people are driving, again, following the speed limit, proper distance between every car, stopping 3 seconds, that kind of stuff. And then you see this white BMW with the windows down, blasting music and just like revving their engine. And again, you can imagine who's driving. And I'm just like, yeah, there's a clash of culture happening. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. And yeah, so Sweden's been gripping with that. They have no-go zones now, plenty of them, where the police just won't go. It's become now the capital of Europe for sexual assaults, which is it's sad.
They did just stop all immigration, though, didn't they? They put a whole halt on it. And I appreciate Japan for doing the exact same thing, because it's ruining their culture. And don't even get me started on the anime tourists.
Yeah, no, that's something. But the issue with the stopping of the immigration, so yeah, they elected, I believe they're called the Sveriges Demokrat, which is like it's called like the Sweden's Democrat, but they're like the far right party, if you wish. And the issue, though, is that all European countries, actually, they all have coalition governments. There's no single kind of like majority government in any European parliament. So it makes it so that even though the party kind of wins the most votes, they don't really form the most or a total government, right? So they have to make concessions with other parties. So obviously in this case, they went with other right party, but then there's some center parties, there's some like a little bit on the left party. And in their coalition, because we've never seen this in Canada, we have no clue what the hell a coalition government is. And even less in the US, same thing, I've never seen this. But over there is that no party has, it's like a minority, but even more diluted, because here in Canada, when we have a minority government, we still allow the minority to form the executive. So to appoint all the ministers of the crown under the same party, to have the prime minister under the same party. But in Europe, what they do is that in their coalition agreement, so they negotiate, they'll be, okay, cool. So the prime minister will be the winner of the most votes, but then the minister of foreign affairs will actually be a different party, and the minister of defense will be that third party, but the minister of housing will be our party because we want to make reforms. They have to negotiate that way. So even in the executive branch, you have members of different party. So things, I mean, in a way, it's good. It prevents centralization of power, which I am for. But the downside is that when you need strong reform after decades and decades of piss poor policy that has destroyed your country, you don't have the bite, the bark needed to actually implement those reforms.
Do you think we'll get that here? Do you think with Pierre we'll get that in 2029?
If you're a podcaster or a video creator, this is the all-in-one AI video editor you've been looking for. I've been using Async since day one, and it's amazing to watch it progress into a complete powerhouse for creators. Especially for people like me who, well, can't edit for shit. Async leverages AI to give you total control over your video. You can record, edit, generate clips, add subtitles, and even dub your content in over 15 languages. Plus, it lets you upscale your footage and easily repurpose your content for different platforms, all without ever having to switch between different tools. It's truly a game changer. So if you want to streamline your workflow and make your editing process painless, check out async.com today. The link is in the description below.
No.
At the very latest? No?
We won't. We won't. Not because Pierre is bad. I think Pierre would make an excellent leader. I think the Conservatives make for great governance. And I would love to see a conservative government in power. I would love to see a Poilievre prime minister. But the issue is the Canadian system itself. So, I mean, for example, in Canada's history, we've only ever had one conservative majority government. That was under Harper. And
who still gets to this day harped on.
Gets harped on, yeah.
everything.
Harper gets harped. That was hilarious watching. I don't remember which minister, but saying that the reason projects are not being approved is because of Harper. It's like, bro, it's been 11 years.
I know.
Comes the point eventually where you do have to move on from that. But, because obviously every party does this. Even here in Montreal, we have a new mayor, and her name is Soraya, and she's a former liberal, federal liberal, or maybe provincial liberal, whatever. And that's her thing now. She's just blaming the past admin for everything. Every answer is, the past admin left of, like, F off, But the problem with, again, the Canadian system is that the first past the post system and the way our ridings are designed, Liberals are considerably more effective at converting popular voices or popular votes into seats in the House of Commons. And due to the ideological nature of Canada, which is more to the left than it is to the right, it is impossible for the Conservatives to form a majority government unless there's a weak Liberal and a strong NDP.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, the NDP is in the worst posture ever. I mean, they're gone.
Don't get me started on Avi.
Yeah, well,
don't get me started on Avi.
But irrespective of their leader, which obvious to me, I mean, any leader of the NDP is hilarious. I mean, just a convention was literally a meme factory. It was the best thing ever. I'm so happy they had that.
I loved that we got. Honestly, it sounds bad, but I love that we got mocked by the rest of the world for that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I got to thank them because, again, the video I made reacting to it was my best YouTube video ever. So thank you, NDP. And this is one of the things, I was hearing this, and I'll get back on the NDP point and the Conservative, but, I know the pleb, I've hung out with him before, a great, great, great Conservative voice and, independent content creator. But during a conversation with him at one point, he told me, he's like, I really miss Trudeau. He's like, I miss Trudeau because he helped me make some of my best content. And I got to give it to him. He's right. Trudeau it was just, again, a meme factory. So sadly now with Carney, he's so calculated, so, so businesslike. He's, to me, he reminds me purely of Wall Street. Like, he's a Wall Street guy. Yeah. So it makes it a little hard to have these, like, funny, cheeky moments. But back to the NDP. So without a strong NDP and without a weak Liberal, the Conservatives can't win a majority. And the NDP right now is not only completely decimated when it comes to their leaders and their seats in the House and whatnot, but they've gone so woke, and I mean so deeply woke, that they just really don't appeal to the average Canadian voter anymore. They've become truly a fringe minority, and that doesn't help the Conservatives. Furthermore, their treasury is completely dry, and I mean, like, bone dry. They have no money. So Jack Meat not only destroyed the party and kept the Liberals in power and prevented the Conservatives from forming a government when the steam was in their, or when the wind was in their sail, but on top of that, he's just completely ruined the chances of the Conservative probably ever forming government in the near to medium term future.
So do you see the West separating?
Ooh, I hope they do. The issue is this with the West. So let's go with Alberta first, because the West, that would be like part number 2,
Yeah.
I do believe, I think there's an element of very strong separatism, independence, sovereignty in Alberta. Alberta, by the way, would be a province that could survive on its own. As a matter of fact, it's like the only province right now that would thrive if it would unshackle them. They have no idea. The people in Alberta have no idea how prosperous they could become if they were independent. It's legitimately, they would become like the 8th largest economy on a GDP per capita basis. And the deals they could make in the US and the wealth they could generate, it's insane. Like, it could work. Like, so again, on a purely economic and cultural and reality fact-based approach, it can work. It can. But the issue is, and I saw that personally because I used to live in Alberta. I hopped in my car when I was 20 or 21 years old with a buddy of mine. We drove across the country and we went to go get a job in the oil fields. And while working in Curl Lake, so that's past Fort Mac, that's even more north, I realized everyone on the site, every single one on the site, was not Albertan, was not Saskatchewan, was not Manitoban. They were all from Ontario, Quebec, and a vast majority from the Maritimes. Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, mostly Pictou County for some reason in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. And then I just realized, why are all these people from the East going to Alberta? Well, for economic reasons. But here's what shocked me. And again, I was 21 years old when it hit me in the face. They all had the most liberal, leftist, freaking ideologies I've ever seen. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, well, this ain't good, because in 6 months they'll be able to vote in the provincial elections, and eventually that has to be bad for Alberta's kind of culture of being very to the right or conservative. And lo and behold, a few years later, what happened? The NDP got into power in Alberta. I called it. I was like, holy shit, it's like migration, but from within the country. Well, since then, there's been less migration from within the country due to the fact that Alberta's, there was the oil crash, and there was the fires in Fort Mac twice. Like, it's stifled a little bit of their economy. But there's been mass migration from outside the country. So it's not any better. And as such, I don't think they have the voices, not because they can't do it. They just don't have the manpower, the bodies to vote. And that's my issue. But
a lot of them came back here and are now grumbling that they don't have the money that they used to.
Yeah, well, no shit. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of, but the only saving grace here, and this is something, and I can't believe I'm at a point now in my life where I'm saying this, but in Quebec, we're going to have elections in October. And we've had the same government now for a decade as well. We're a little bit like the Liberal government here. It's not a Liberal government. Technically, it's a right of center party, but it's just, it's like Ford in Ontario. Again, like, oh, we're conservative. Are you really, though? You know? So it's the exact same thing here. It's been a catastrophe. And we have the Parti Québécois, the PQ, that's the separatist, the sovereignty movement that is slated to win. Now, again, they're trying really hard to pull a Carney here and to prop up the Liberals. The media is like fawning over him. And he's like this guy that was just, again, like dumped out of nowhere, like just positioned. And look at him, he's the savior. It's like, again, it feels so artificial. And it's kind of working. But if it stays as is right now, that PQ party will win. And their mandate is to bring forth a referendum. Now, this is where I have a bit of hope for Alberta, because now with two provinces with a serious mandate of sovereignty bringing forth referendums, I think it can kind of tilt the balance. Plus, Canada, if it continues to go down the shitter as it is right now, well, Albertans are going to wake up and to realize this. There's only one issue, though, and it's that Premier Smith is not a separatist. She's not someone that's pro-sovereignty, and she will be campaigning against it. And her first order of business, and she just commissioned this the other day, is to bring out economic analysis of what it would mean to separate. And she's going to paint...
she said it was like $400 billion to do it too.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Again, did they manipulate data? It's true. 400 billion might be accurate. Again, it might be overestimated. Who the fuck knows? To be honest with you, I'm like, give me the reins and I'll do it for 100 billion. Believe me, I'm sure I can do it for cheaper. But regardless, it's that she won't disclose all the information. And it'll be up to the sovereignty movement to make a case for it, because that $400 billion seems like, oh my God, that's horrible compared to how much we produce. It would be like $15,000 every year per Albertans to cover this bill. But hey, she didn't talk about the fact that they would get a chunk of CPP right then and there. That covers, that's 500 billion right then and there, that covers. So now you're actually in a positive. And she makes it seem like we have to put in place everything that Canada has, like a military, for example. It's like, whoa. Dude, I'm sure you can sign a compact of free association with the US that would offer you protection in exchange for extraction of your natural resources, which you will make money on anyways. They talk about like, oh, well, you need to mint your new currency. Well, says who? Again, there's so many ways you can cut down the cost to near zero by making deals with other countries, including Canada. I mean, when Quebec wanted to separate, one of the things that even our crazy sovereigntists back in the 80s and the early 90s were saying is, we'll just keep the Canadian dollar. I mean, why not? It's there already. And at the time, it was not a shit currency. So she's going to paint a really grim picture that's going to scare a lot of people who might not be astute enough to look a little bit deeper. And the entire premise of Alberta separating is an economic purpose or an economic reason. So if she manages to scare people off with the economy, then sadly it's going to die in the cradle.
I've been trying to defend the people coming, like staying. Like I really don't want Canada to fracture. Like I love this country. I just don't like the people running it, or the people who are too dumb to look at anything but what their lives are given. Like there's one guy who comes at me all the time. He's like, well, like you can have a nice job, and it's like, I can't live a life where I know I'm fucking over everybody else.
Yeah.
I can't. And even if I've even gone out and I said, hey, if the government wants to redo this application, I will charge them nothing. I will build it for them by myself from scratch, and I will charge them $1. And they won't do that, obviously, because they make too much money off the contracts. But it's just the amount of money we put into IT is ridiculous. And we're paying Microsoft, Google, we're paying all these like Oracle, IBM, all these big companies to do the same shit they've done for years. And I'm actually getting furious at Cohere. Mini Palantir is what I'm calling them, because now they're pushing for sovereign AI. And I'm like, well, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what does sovereign AI mean? And on top of that, you want an anti-hate AI. So we haven't even defined that. It's just getting worse and worse as we go ahead, as we go further.
So then the question is, okay, is it such a good idea to keep the country as a whole then?
Fair. I also live on an island now where they used to be a republic. They know how to operate as a republic, and we could easily go back, especially because we have...
Newfoundland was not a republic. It was a confederacy.
Okay.
It was sorry, not a confederacy, my bad. It was a dominion.
Yes. But we have our own oil. We have our own fishing. We have our own land. Like 80% of the province is crown territory that we can drive wherever and do whatever. If we became our own country, it would be simple. We'd have to invest a lot, and we'd have to say fuck you to the rest of Canada because we took all of the money to keep us afloat, which I'm okay with. Actually, a lot of people are not okay in Alberta. The separatists are like, we're going to claw back the $700 billion. I'm like, you're never going to see it that.
No, they're not going to be able to claw it back. That money's gone. And, you know, it's no, for sure. But no, Newfoundland was a dominion. It joined the Federation.
Yeah, and I'm starting to reach out to a few of the people out here because I'm trying to like push for government changes out here. We have 44% of our population works for government. So I'm working So I'm working on trying to expose a lot of that to the population out here.
Yeah.
And bring back business. I've actually started promoting. They have a lot of great programs out here, especially because we're having retirees coming. Like, we have a lot of old people here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people retiring. This is a great opportunity for all of the youth to start migrating out here, taking over the position. You don't even have to like buy them. Just go apprentice and offer a switch. Like, hey, I'll pay you over time. Like, these are great things. Even the government has started a program that allows nonprofits to purchase businesses, to operate, to have their own operating funds, which honestly, NGOs are a plague on this country. Saying operating one, we do not get government money. The Canadian government actually refuses to do anything with us because we touch Cuba. We actually got debanked as well for operating with Cuba. So I operate a nonprofit that we're putting our own money into to keep going. The ones that don't, and a lot of the ones that are vying for liberals to stay in power, are the ones that gift the government handouts. The ones that only operate because they get the cash. I do want to ask you, because there was a point in in Bruce's talk where you had said you were at the CPC convention, and you started seeing that there was coordination amongst the conservative influencers. Do you worry that that's going to become more profound, and that they're going to try and make their own like media? Because I love us working together. Like, I love this. I want to reach out to like Jasmine, and I want to reach out to Pleb, and I know I'm not big enough, but eventually I would love to just have a conversation with them. But I don't like coordination, like proper structure. I'm very, very anti-authority now. I don't know where I went from full on okay with authority to now I'm just no. And I don't want us to just become another liberal party that fights for the other side. Do you see that happening?
Okay, so, and that's a great question, actually. Fuck, dude, good on you. Okay, the first thing I'd say, don't be scared to reach out to Jasmine or Pleb or whatever. I mean, they're super busy, but they're great people. I mean, they're really, really, really good people, and they devote their time to conversation and dialogue with a wide variety of people. So don't be scared. I mean, honestly, I love them big time. They're great people. I had the chance to meet them and talk to them, and great people. To touch on the coordination part, the coordination is normal because we're all, you have to understand we're in a minority right now and we're all
Mm.
suffering equally. So it's normal for people to form groups to want to promote a specific outcome. I think we all want the Liberals to be out of power. We all want a right of center government. We want Canada to change course and to do better. Now, we all also have our individual opinions of how that would look like. I mean, I think they're all incredibly articulate in the way they talk about their points, but I don't agree with everything they say. And I'm convinced they disagree with a lot of things I say as well. And that's good because, see, on the right, on the conservative side, and this has been proven through studies as well, same in the US with the Republicans, there's more diversity of thought on the right, on the political right, than there is on the political left. The political left is hyper centralized. It's either you believe this or you're the enemy. Whereas on the right, we welcome various ideologies. We welcome discourse, conversations, debate, because we seek the truth and we seek the best outcome. A bit like at my company, just like with vast companies that have success, in a boardroom or in a meeting, we're not looking for yes men. We're looking for people to bring forth idea. We'll debate it. We'll look at data. We'll test it. But the best idea will win because that means the company wins.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing. I don't think it will ever devolve back to what the Liberals or the NDP is, because they're all about centralization of power and centralization of ideas, whereas the right ain't like that. And I got to see it personally at the convention when I was looking at the votes on the platform, right? So when you're at a convention, you're voting on the platform on various policies within the party. And it was incredible to watch, one, the people that were there. We're talking kids from 18 years old. I was like, oh my God, you're 18, you're here. You are like fucking, you're connected politically, and good for you. All the way up to, the boomers that were there. I got to see a wide variety of ethnicities as well. People say, conservatives, anti-immigration. Well, we're quite welcoming, to be quite honest with you. Men, women, but also ideologies. And as much as I disagreed with some of the things that were pushed, as I'm sure some of them, others disagreed with some of the things that were voted on, in the end, we welcome it. We just want the best solution out there. So at this stage, the coordination is needed because divided, we fall. United, we have a chance. Plus, like I said, we're fighting an uphill battle. Canadians in general tend to be more left of center. So we have no choice but to have a unified front. You see it also like with Alberta. There's various ideas of what Alberta should look like post-sovereignty. But right now, everyone's working on the same team to try to get there. Then they'll cross that bridge and they'll decide how exactly will it look. And I'm sure there'll be concessions. But again, on the right, we're much more willing to do these concessions and to find the best possible outcome. So no, I'm not worried at all about the coordination. And when I say coordination, by the way, and it's important, I don't want to put too many words in my mouth. I said there's some amplification more so than coordination, right? So the example I believe I gave, at least that's the one that stuck out with me, while Poilievre was giving his big keynote speech, you had a few people that were drafting stuff on X, and the second it was posted, it was being reposted or retweeted by others to amplify it. I mean, okay. It's if you believed in it, and if they really did believe in it, I see nothing wrong with it. If they did it against their own personal convictions, then I'd be questioning it. But knowing that, and it was a good speech, like I was there, it was a good speech, probably not as good as Davos, as the media would say, but I think it was a great, inspiring speech. Well, yeah, no shit, we'd want to push it because I think Canadians need to hear it. And sadly, the CBC won't talk about it.
That's a very good point. And I think this goes to what David's doing at Moose on the Loose and Mark Nissen did to get KLF in power. I appreciate everything they do. They've been pushing that hard. And I'm very happy that there's a conservative government there that can start pushing back against all of the stupidity that is BC. I just want to, as we're coming up to the end here, I just wanted to ask you like one question. Why are you back in Montreal?
That's a good question. Okay, clearly I must hate myself. It's self-loathing, buddy, at this point.
Yeah.
Well, look, I can give. I'll try to be succinct and brief. First of all, out of all Canadian big cities, Montreal's the best one. Okay, period. I've lived in I've seen, traveled, or lived in most of them. I used to live in Toronto. I lived in Gloucester, which is right next to Ottawa. I've lived in Montreal. I've traveled. I mean, I've lived briefly in Edmonton. I've been all over the place. Montreal has a little bit of European flair. Cost of living is still considerably cheaper than, say, Toronto, Vancouver, even though we're the second largest city. And there's a joie de vivre, as we call it, a little bit more of a laid back, upbeat, playful nature with being in Montreal. Now, I dislike Quebec because there's a lot of things I dislike about this province. Although if there is a referendum, I'm voting pro, again, because I think it would help Alberta. I dislike Canada. I dislike how Canada is completely. I don't want to live here. My son lives in Canada, and for family reasons, I'm back. The goal has always been to leave again. I've lived in the US, best 2 years of my life. I've lived in Portugal for a couple of years. Amazing place. Not a place I want to live full time, but a place that you want to visit. The problem with Europe, especially Southern Europe, is that it's great lifestyle. But God, man, like I'm ambitious. I need to get shit done, you know? And like when you're there for too long, it's just, it sucks you in, you know? It's like sitting on a couch, you won't get back up. So, but on living in Canada, I think the Canadian dream now is to leave Canada because I don't necessarily see it getting better anytime soon unless tremendous things change. And
we might all be kicked out anyway. So
yeah, well, you know, I'll welcome being kicked out. They'll be great. Make me stateless. I'll just be a wanderer. But just to end, because I don't want to take too much time. I know it's the end. But you mentioned how you want to see Canada remain as a federation. But see, like I welcome Canada splitting apart, not because I dislike the country itself, but just by virtue of I don't believe big governments that are spread far and wide do the best job. I believe in smaller governments that are closer to the people. That's one of the reasons I do like the US. Sure, there's a very strong federal government, don't get me wrong, but there's still more autonomy to the states. The states are sovereign. The states have their own constitution, and the states all have their own criminal law. For example, they have they're allowed to have their army if they want. And I'm not talking about the National Guard here. I'm talking state defense forces that are loyal only to the governor and to the state. There's more autonomy. And I think smaller government units are better suited to respond to the need of the domestic population. Right now in Canada, you have MPs in Nunavut that can cross the floor because she received X amount of dollars for her tiny little riding, which affects everyone else in Canada all of a sudden. You know, you're Newfoundland, a different reality than someone in Ontario or Alberta or Saskatchewan, whatever you name it. So I think the Federation was glued together at a time when it was needed for survival and to thrive. It did its part. Now we're seeing that it's starting to hurt the people rather than help the people. And I would like to see either massive reform, which won't happen. We'll stay under a Westminster style system for sure. So then I would prone for small government. And one of the reasons I love Switzerland. Switzerland's a confederacy, the last and only confederacy in the world. And as a confederacy, the cantons, which is like their states, are sovereign as hell, like super sovereign. The federal or the confederate government, if you wish, the centralized government is incredibly impotent in all things considered. And I think that's better that way. So that's my take. I'm in Canada now because I want to, and there are much better places to go. But right now I have to be here, so I may as well make the best of it.
Fair enough. Well, it's a great place to end off on. And to everybody out there who wants to know who you are, where you're at, and where they can get your information.
Yeah, definitely. So YouTube channel is The Right Call. I think the handle is Right Call Podcast, but I'm the host of The Right Call. Social media, HRH_Elliot, Instagram, TikTok. You can find me on all there, or just look up my name, Elliot Daigneault. But I do want to thank you a lot for this. Should I call you by your real name or just the Weird Canadian?
Oh, Cody's fine.
Cody's fine. Okay, I wasn't sure. Yeah. Some people like to stay anonymous. I was like,
no. I've become synonymous with the Weird Canadian. It is my brand, but also like my alias, and it's hard because nobody doesn't come off the tongue of like the Weird Canadian. It's great in third person, but it's not so good when you're addressing somebody, you know?
Fair enough, Cody. Well, I do appreciate the invite. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah. And to everybody out there, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all the bullshit I'm supposed to tell you. And